Lieberman Live, the experts.
David Kahn is to my left. He's a self-defense expert, an author, Israeli Krav Maga Association U.S. Chief Instructor and Board Member, and you can find him at IsraeliKrav.com online. David, let's start here. The Nightline piece brought out some interesting points on this issue. You can get all of the ingredients, if you will, to buy a gun online. We'll get into all the details, but basically, you can legally build a gun as long as you don't sell it or give it away. Your thoughts?
Hey, John, thanks for having me on. One should keep in mind that 67% of all murders are committed with a firearm, according to the FBI. Another 21% of all aggravated assaults are committed with a firearm. So I would make the point that one should vet anybody acquiring a firearm. And obviously, homemade firearms do not enable the authorities to do so.
Well, you bring up a great point. I mean, look, you look online, Reddit has a whole thread on building guns. It goes back to the Gun Control Act of 1968 that says as long as the receiver, the part that connects the mechanical parts of the gun, as long as that part of the gun isn't fully finished, it's not actually considered a gun. So as you alluded to, there are shops that sell everything you need to make a gun, and the shops don't have to be licensed as firearms dealers. So what should be done about this?
Again, I take it back to vetting. The politics aside, only responsible people should get their hands on firearms or any other kind of weaponry. And, you know, if you look historically, go to Vietnam, the Viet Cong used homemade weapons with great effect. So, again, it doesn't matter how the weapon is produced, whether it's legally or otherwise, you got to have responsible people getting a hold of them or not getting a hold of them.
Well, and you talk about it internationally, and the issue is going worldwide. An editorial out of a newspaper in Malaysia just this week says, quote, the authorities must be firm in handling the making and assembling of homemade shotguns and air guns. That happened after they seized a number of homemade guns. So, of course, it's a worldwide problem. I want to ask you about this. With all of the mass shootings and the school shootings all across this country, what is the best way to react during a shooting event? This is what you specialize in.
It is, John. Thank you. Krav Maga focuses on any kind of self-defense, and that would include disarms. Obviously, in an active shooter situation or a terrorist situation, it'll take an intrepid soul to approach a shooter and to disarm him. You take the Virginia Tech shootings, it's a terrible calamity, but if enough people had thrown books, chairs, or whatever it was at the shooter, probably they would have been able to distract him and apprehend him. Probably some people still would have been shot, but the point is not to be a victim. That's not to say that you should go try taking a gun away from somebody in a robbery scenario or any place you can comply with whatever they ask. It's a worst-case scenario we're dealing with here.
Okay, let me open it up to the group now for debate. But David, let me bring it back to you. How important is self-defense when we're discussing weaponry?
The focus of self-defense is obviously to save yourself or a loved one some harm. The question comes up, well, would you attempt to disarm or not? Again, the best thing to do is to comply. Look, we work with the top levels of the U.S. military, federal law enforcement, and other agencies, and we teach these brave men and women the best way to take away a weapon. And while it takes training, the focus of Krav Maga is that anybody can do it. So in other words, we can take an average person and teach them to disarm in a matter of minutes, but the question is whether it's a responsible thing to do and whether the circumstances will permit it. So again, we're not advocating taking guns away from anybody if you can comply or if the authorities can respond, but if it's a worst-case scenario, that's what Krav Maga was developed for.
David knows his stuff. You can find him at IsraeliKrav.com. I want to thank my absolutely terrific panel, David Kahn